Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Open Day for the UAL Diploma in Apple Development and the Creative Computing Institute. My name is Georgina Capdevila-Cano, and today we're here to host the first half of the Open Day, the online Open Day for the UAL Diploma in Apple Development. In this information session, we'll have with us Joel Gethin-Lewis, who is the course leader at the course. We'll also have Matt Hanlon, software engineer and trainer of Apple trainers, as an ex-Apple employee, and current students at the course, Sophie and Zac. To give you an overview of how the session is structured today, we're going to start talking about the UAL Creative Computing Institute first, and we've got 3 videos that we will show you, which will walk you through the amazing spaces and facilities available to students. We'll talk you through the research and public program and social mission at the Institute, and finally, we'll show you about the vibrant local area that we have here at the Institute. After that, I will invite Joel to join us here and give us a presentation about the course approach, units, and structure. And right after that, we will host a conversation. Joel and Matt will be discussing a little bit about why Swift development, Apple development is so relevant nowadays. And right after that, we'll move on to the Q&A section where Zac and Sophie will share about their experience being part of the course this year as the first cohort of students. During the session, we invite you to share with us any questions that you might have about the course or about the CCI using the YouTube chat section. So please feel free to pop a message that you would like us to cover later on the Q&A section. And before we continue, just a note to say that if you have any difficulties following along the session, please know that the entire recording will be re-uploaded on YouTube with English closed captions. So if you miss any detail, don't worry, you'll have the chance to catch up at your own pace as well. So let's get this started. We'll begin by watching a video that will walk you through all the facilities, spaces, and resources here at the Creative Computing Institute.
Welcome to the CCI Facilities tour. Over the next few minutes, we are going to show you around the campus and tell you a bit about the facilities and resources available to our students. CCI South London is located across 2 buildings along Peckham Road in Camberwell. We share our buildings with Camberwell College of Arts, which is a fantastic opportunity for CCI students to get to know and collaborate with students studying courses like fine art, photography, graphic design and illustration. The Greencoat building hosts teaching spaces and technical spaces for students studying creative computing and creative robotics. It also hosts the Dark Lab for AR, VR and interaction design. This summer, we are going to be creating additional technical spaces in this building to support the new creative robotics courses that open in September 2023. CCI is located on the 5th floor of Peckham Road, where we have teaching spaces and technical labs, as well as a kitchen, which is our main student hangout and study space. We have several high-spec workstation computers where you can work on machine learning, data science and other intensive computing tasks. We have a library on site with access to a range of books, e-books, periodicals and databases. Our dedicated librarian, Beninia, ensures that these resources are kept up to date to help you complete your studies. Across the courtyard is Gardens House, one of a growing number of halls of residence across London. And on the ground floor is the Learning Zone, a space for self-directed study that is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to all UAL students. There are places to eat, like our canteen, student advice centre and support services, and an art and materials shop. In summer 2023, we will redevelop the former London College of Fashion building at High Holborn. We will share this building with UAL's brand new PhD hub, which will help to ensure that CCI's focus remains around the development of world-class research. At our Holborn site, we will create new technical, teaching and library facilities to support our new courses in computer science and data science.
The technicians here at CCI all have a decade of experience doing really cool stuff with emerging technology. We'd love to help the students here with any questions they have about their projects. The Dark Lab is for experimenting with interaction, projection, sound and VR. Great for permanent projection setups. We've got a couple of VR booths. We've got loads of speakers and many other toys to play with. I specialize in creative coding and especially interactive things using Kinect and cameras and game engines, 3D graphics. We have a whole bunch of equipment that students can take out on loan, including projectors, Kinects. We also have laptop lockers where you can get a laptop to work with.
Physical computing really is just the connection to the physical world, to the data. Students have played with physical computing in all sorts of different ways. A lot of interaction with gaming and the VR world as well. Sensing various different bits and pieces, using touch especially, all sorts of different sensors to put things in a virtual world, or vice versa. They could have things coming from a virtual world and bringing them into the real world. We generally lend Arduinos to all of the students, and with that we have a collection of different modules. This allows us to interact with the world in various different ways. Those modules could be sound sensing, they could be image sensing, they could be sensing the environment in some other way. The benches here are for the students to solder and prototype, put different boards together. We have different components with different levels of exploration with electronics, so you can quickly get something together on breadboard, or you might want to make something that's more solid.
I help students who want to use the digital knitting machine, the digital embroidery machine, and who are also thinking about incorporating electronics or computation into textiles or wearable kind of technology. We have a silver reed digital knitting machine. So that's a domestic knitting machine that can be computer controlled, so you can use it to create digital patterns, and that's used to produce knitted fabric. I tend to think of it like a 3D printer kind of for textiles. And then the other textiles machine that we have is a Brother digital embroidery machine. So that's kind of fully automated programmable embroidery machine that you can use to embroider textiles.
This is Digital Fabrication Lab, and we have 3D printing machine and laser cutting machine here. For our 3D printers, we just drag your design into the software and slicing it and directly push it to the printer, and your design will be materialized. For the laser cutter, it's also very efficient. Even very complex pattern, it will only take like several minutes. Most of students will use it to generate the housing for their physical computing things. It helps students to materialize their project quickly.
To find out more about our facilities and equipment, please visit wiki.cci.arts.ac.uk.
Now, a lot of students are interested in finding out more about the research themes that we explore here at the CCI and the social mission that underpins our research, our teaching, and the public activities, public program activities that we run. In the following videos, we will share with you all about it.
CCI's key research themes are creativity, machine learning, and AI, human-computer interaction and platforms, and big data and digital citizenship. So we're interested in how machine learning and AI can transform people's creative practices, enable the creation of totally new kinds of work in music and art, and enable new people to get involved in creative practice. We've created a lot of software tools like Wekinator, Mimic, and InteractML, which are used by tens of thousands of people around the world to make new music and art and games. We've had staff and students exhibit work that's created with AI at venues like the Whitney and the Barbican, and we've had collaborations with artists and musicians like Arca, Massive Attack, and others. A number of staff and students are also leaders in community and activist groups. For instance, the Code Liberation Foundation teaches women and non-binary people how to make games, and the Critical Platform Studies Group explores how digital platforms might encode and even reproduce patterns of problematic power structures in society. This rich and exciting research environment is the product of many staff coming together from lots of different disciplines. These include not just computer science and art, but music, engineering, design, philosophy, art history, and all sorts of other domains. We all bring our excitement and experience from these different research projects with us into the classroom. And it's a place that I really love teaching, and I'm excited to share it with you. CCI's teaching, research, and outreach activities are all informed by our social mission. This mission has three components. They are digital inclusion, diversity in technology, and digital entrepreneurship. First, we are committed to the inclusion of marginalized people in the creation of technology and in the use of technology. This informs what we teach, both in the classroom and beyond the classroom. It also means that we have to recognize that the lack of diversity in the tech workforce right now both stems from and contributes to broader problems in our society, and we have to address these too. Secondly, we're really mindful about the impacts that technology has on the broader world. We have to recognize the potential harms that come with technology, whether that means harms to well-being or even exacerbating bias and inequality. At the same time, we're very involved in projects that aim to have a more positive impact on the world. We are collaborating with the Decolonizing Art Institute at UAL right now to try to surface and mitigate bias in museum collections across the UK. We have staff and students, some with disabilities themselves, who are making technologies that enable new ways for disabled people to interact with technology and create new forms of technology for themselves. And third, CCI is committed to creating digital entrepreneurship opportunities for marginalized people. If we want tech to be a force for good, we need to enable people to apply technology in ways that they're excited and passionate about, where they know technology is going to be useful. So this means applying creative computing to new application areas, to addressing needs in people's communities, and to affecting social change.
The Creative Computing Institute's public programme can be anything from talks, workshops, short online tutorials, conversations, and it's really aimed at engaging with the community outside of our students. Students joining it too, but it's very much for the general public. The reason I run it with so much passion is because it's a part of my ongoing research and practice, which is about including unheard voices in technology development. I think that we've got as much to give communities as we can learn as an institution from communities. And so engaging with the general public is engaging with users and having that dialogue, that critical dialogue, and then coming back and designing software and hardware from a more informed position is really important. I would love to tell you a little bit more about TechYard. It's a huge part of the CCI's public programme, and I've been running it for almost 3 years now. So it started in the pandemic as an online tutorial course for young people, and now it's grown into a hybrid programme. We go into schools, we run workshops here at the CCI, we collaborate with galleries all around London and hopefully soon beyond. And again, it's the ethos of engaging people outside of our student cohort with the critical creative computing conversation, ethics, and of course, like skills as well, right? So we can run 3D modelling workshops, virtual reality workshops, and we work with beyond young people now. So I do loads of stuff for young people, but also done some work with adults as well. Examples of past public programme workshops that we've run include inclusive design in wearable technology, designing a feminist chatbot, and queering voice AI trans-centred design.
And the last piece of content we've got prepared for you today will give you an idea of how vibrant and exciting is the area and culture that surrounds CCI's campus in Southeast London. I hope you get to enjoy it as much as we do.
The area of Peckham and Camberwell is very much becoming a centre for art and performance and music, and so it's a natural home for what is a brand new centre of creative technology.
There's so much to do in terms of eating out or bars, pubs. It's very easy to get to like Brixton, Peckham from Camberwell.
I love Peckham. Something about the area, Camberwell, Peckham, New Cross, Deptford, with Goldsmiths as well, kind of creates quite a nice community. I definitely feel like where I live, which is close by, has a kind of community spirit.
Every year it just grows in terms of more things to do, cafes, galleries. The galleries I like to go to is the Hannah Barry Gallery, the South London Gallery. Peckham Levels do a lot of pop-up galleries, so it's always changing. Peckhamplex is just next to Peckham Levels. The best thing about Peckhamplex is the cinema tickets are £4.99 and it's the cheapest cinema in London. Also in the area, there's lots of parks. My favourite park is Brunswick Park. It has Bauer Art Gallery set up by UAL students. It's just got such great access into other areas in town. The East London line goes straight to Hoxton, Shoreditch, Dalston. The community at CCI, really friendly. Everyone can just express themselves and just be themselves.
It's my third year studying at the Creative Computing Institute, and I've been really enjoying my time, and I'm very happy with all the knowledge I've got from the tutors and my peers. The community is really nice here. I feel like every time I'm stuck, I can always find the right person to talk to, and I always get further with my project.
Something about the space is really nice. It's a very kind of calming environment, nice teachers I find. So it kind of creates a welcoming environment. I feel like I can spend a whole day here and feel pretty happy. I can safely say that the technicians are really attentive and kind of excited as well. If you get Pete talking about something, he'll talk to you for like a very long time about like 50 different things that you could be doing with what you have.
I also go to the technical space quite a lot because it's really nice to just walk in and ask questions and then solving the issues that always come up when you code. I think the most valuable thing I've learned here is that just by talking with people and asking them about what they're interested about and what they're passionate about, this is how I've learned most.
All right, and now it's time to start talking about the UAL Diploma in Apple Development, the reason why you're all here today. So I'm very happy to pass on the mic to my colleague, Joel Gethin-Lewis, who is the Diploma course leader and who will share with us the approach, unit, and content with all of us. Hello, Joel, the floor is yours.
Hey, Georgina, thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
I'm very excited to present a little bit about the Diploma in Apple Development. So here are my beautiful slides in my customary emoji style. I'm also going to be doing an example session tomorrow between 5 and 6 o'clock. So hopefully I'll see some of you then and there as well. By the way, I think it's already in the chat, but the whole presentation is here and you can use the QR code below. I'll be showing you that at the end as well. If you just want to make that go through automatically on your Apple iPhone, you can just take out your camera app and it will take you straight there. Okay, so what are we going to be talking about today? Well, first of all, I should introduce myself. Hi, I'm Joel. My pronouns are he, him. I'm 42 and I live in London near Epping Forest with my fiance and cat. And just like to say a massive thank you to Georgina for inviting me to this session. What are we going to be talking about today? Well, we're going to start off with an introduction to the Creative Computing Institute from Georgina. That's already happened. That's in the past. And then we're in section 2 right now, the introduction to the Apple Diploma itself from Joel. That's me. And we'll have a little chat with the amazing Matt Hanlon, who was the person who trained me to be an Apple certified trainer. So he is officially a trainer of trainers, which is very meta, which I always like. And then to finish up the day, we will be having a chat between Matt, me, and 2 current Apple Diploma students, the fantastic Zac and Sophie, with some questions from the audience and a general discussion. And then tomorrow, I'm going to be taking you through an example session. So we're going to be looking at some Apple resources to build a color mixing iPhone app, and we'll get that done in an extraordinary 45 minutes. So that will be a lot of fun. So we've already done this bit from Georgina, and now we're going to have the introduction to the diploma from me. So for the first 5 minutes, let's take a little look at the homepage for the first half of the year. And we can have a look at the Apple Diploma Readme. And we'll finally have a look at the wiki for the Apple Diploma, which is the place where all the resources that have been created by me, other lecturers, and other contributors to the course, and also the students themselves. So let's take a look at the homepage for the first half of the year. So as I mentioned, the diploma isn't just taught by me, it's also taught by the amazing Xiaowen Yi. They are currently doing a PhD in machine learning at Queen Mary University out in the east of London. And so we're lucky enough to have them on the course teaching with us. I take the first 2 courses, the Coding 1 and Product 1 lectures, and then Xiaoan Yi takes the ML 1 or Machine Learning 1 lectures, and she's fantastically well suited for that. She's doing a PhD in it right now. So as I mentioned, there are 3 units to every one of the blocks of the course. There's lectures on coding, product development, and machine learning, and then that's mirrored through into the second year of the second half of the course, or the second block. Any of you at UAL will already be familiar with the block 1, block 2 setup. So you can see here in the first half of the year, we do coding 1, product 1, and ML 1, and in the second half, surprisingly, we do coding 2, product 2, and ML 2. But what does that actually mean? Well, in the first half of the year, it's really about introducing you to some techniques. So learning the language that we'll be using all year, Swift. Product 1 is all about working in a team to make an app, really considering user experience research and building prototypes of your apps really quickly. And then ML1 is all about introducing how you do machine learning on the Apple platforms with the Apple Platform Core ML, Core Machine Learning. All of those experiences mirror over to block 2, but taking it on to the next level. So in coding 2, which we're in the middle of right now with the current students, we go through some further Apple frameworks. So we've been looking at extending our knowledge of Swift UI. We're also looking at a lot of the game technologies that are available on the Apple platforms, particularly SpriteKit, which is this amazing kit or API, application programming interface, that allows you to make games in 2 dimensions really, really quickly and easily. Then product 2 is all about making an app for yourself. So instead of being in teams as you're in product 1, you take on the entire design, creation and launch of an app. Fingers crossed we'll get approval from Apple for all the projects from the diploma students this year, but that's a whole part of the learning as well. And then the final machine learning 2 unit is all about making models with Create ML. So that's kind of the second major application programming interface for machine learning on Apple platforms, where Core ML uses a lot of pre-built libraries that allow you to do things like body tracking, image recognition, and even work in 3 dimensions with augmented reality. Create ML allows you to do all of that, but create your own models to do that. So there's a little outline of the structure of the course. And just to finish up with, let's take a look at the wiki for the Apple Diploma itself. So this is a constantly edited wiki page that has a whole bunch of different resources on it. Has the reading list, a schedule of tutorials. That's a really important thing to me personally, that we have weekly check-ins with all the students on the course. There's also an introduction to different people on the course. We've been really lucky this year in the inaugural year of the diploma that we've got someone from every single one of UAL's locations. We've got Sophie, who you're going to meet later on. She's doing graphic communication design at St. Martin's at the moment. We've got Yingcheng Liu, also known as Emily, who is doing fashion buying and merchandising at London College of Fashion. Maria, who's doing 3D computer animation at LCC. Zac, who's doing product and furniture design at Chelsea. And last but not least, we've got Chiara, who's doing graphic design at Camberwell. And that's one of the things that's really exciting for me, the course, which is it takes people from the entire different portfolio of UAL colleges. And we're really happy and excited to be able to do that. So one of the great things about learning to develop for Apple devices on either Mac OS or iPad OS, iPhone OS or Watch OS is the incredible amount of high quality materials that Apple produces and supplies to people for free. So the main application development platform for all of those Apple platforms that I just mentioned is Xcode. That's completely free and available to download. There's also a fantastic app called Swift Playgrounds, which is available for your iPad and Mac OS, which allows you to build entire interfaces and indeed launch apps just through using your iPad. The Apple Developer macOS app and the iOS apps are great because you can take them with you, have them in your pocket, and access all of the extraordinary video that's available from Apple's annual developer conference, which is formerly known as WWDC. But as soon as you spend any time with anyone who's developing on Apple, you'll realize that it's known as DubDubs, which is kind of an unofficial shortening of that WWDC name, which gets to be a bit of a mouthful. And the iPhone app is available for that as well. And the other thing that's really fantastic about working on the Apple platform, not just the software that's created and available for you, but the documentation. And those are all at the extraordinarily high standard that has been set by Apple if you ever watch any of their keynote presentations. So there's a whole series of different tutorials there specifically around Swift UI, and then any other number of the different kinds of software that you can get on the Apple platform. So there's the software, there's the documentation. The other thing that's important at UAL, of course, is thinking about the design of things. So not just the technical detail of things, but the creative and design area of that as well. And I think that's something that Sophie and Zac and I will have a discussion about later on. So there's a big emphasis made around prototyping. So making things and designing them without even having to make a single piece of code. And so there's a whole series of resources here on how to prototype for augmented reality, how to prototype in 60 seconds if you can make it. And then finally, this fantastic presentation called Fake It Till You Make It, which is one of the things that I think is a really important thing to do around these technologies, is not to get intimidated by them. Realize that they're here and they're available for you. The home screen of the iOS device, the iPhone, isn't just for corporate multi-billion-dollar startup companies, it's for you too. And that's one of the reasons that I'm really excited about teaching on the Apple Diploma course. So for the last little section of my presentation here, I just wanted to give you some quick tips on getting the best out of the diploma. So this slide is all about prototyping, right? And this is one of the things that quite often happens, I find, with students, is that they have all these extraordinary creative ideas, but they take all their resources into making this one extraordinary thing. So to use the metaphor that you can see on this graphic, instead of trying to make a car by just making a car, first make a skateboard, then make a scooter, then make a bicycle, then make a motorbike, and then make a car, right? And this course is really about making lots of skateboards. And as I'm sure Zac and Sophie will attest later on, I constantly refer to skateboard, 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 which is a really critical thing about this course. Another important thing is to be like Dory. And what does Dory do? Well, I can't hear of any of you coming back in the chat right now, but I'm sure we'll talk about this later. What does Dory do? Dory just keeps swimming. And this is the most important thing. I think this is one of the things that I really try to pass on to my students, which is something that I've done in my own practice, is just to keep going. And that's the most important thing in terms of resilience. You're always going to have bugs in your code. You're always going to have problems. Even someone like me or Matt, who we'll be talking to later, who used to work for Apple themselves, we will testify that if you're writing software, you will be making mistakes. You will be making bugs. And there will be problems and challenges, but the key thing is just to keep going and just to keep pushing away at it. And I think that that's actually not just useful in terms of if you want to make iPhone apps or apps for your iPad, but also useful generally in any creative or design career. That attitude of just determination to keep moving forward is a really critical thing to learn. So the Apple Diploma is also a lot about thinking about augmented reality. And I think the iPhone and the iPad are currently the best platforms out there for doing augmented reality. This is something that I'm very excited about getting into teaching this term with the current crop of Apple Diploma students, which is how to do augmented reality on iOS and iPad. And there have been a lot of rumors about it, but I mean, I think it's not a controversial thing to say that Apple will be launching some new hardware specifically targeted at that this year, which is another reason that I think it will be a fantastic time to learn how to write Swift, which is the programming language that everyone uses to make Apple software, because this is really a moment to get that experience underneath your belt, and that will be an extremely useful and important thing, not just to have on your CV in terms of employability, but also in terms of your practice. That if you want to make the new software for this new paradigm of augmented reality, the best and most useful place to do that is going to be on Apple hardware. So I think there's a big opportunity there. This graphic that I've got on the screen is from some research by Ilya Solyov and Klaus Schulten. And what they've discovered is that actually birds use augmented reality to navigate the world. So what you can see here in the top half of the image is the interface that they have to seeing direction. And in the lower half is how it's imposed onto their vision. So this is really how birds can tell direction, right? They look and they see this halo superimposed over their vision. What's the thing that's brilliant about this? Well, it doesn't use any text. It doesn't need even any sense of direction. It's just that it's consistent. And I think the challenge to all of us as artists and designers is to make interfaces as accessible and beautiful and intriguing and wonderful as nature has evolved. Finally, one of the things that's most important to me about the Apple Diploma and the Apple Diploma existing is getting people from artistic and design backgrounds into making apps and authoring apps themselves, and also making apps that take perhaps a different stance to some of the ones that have been already created. David Graeber is a massive inspiration to me, and even though he sadly passed away, his influence definitely lives on through this course. If you watch the talk that I've linked to there, there's an amazing presentation by David before he passed away, talking about the sustainable human activities of play and care. And indeed, those are the briefs that I set for the students in the first and second half of the year. For the first half of the year, the brief was to make a caring app in groups, and the brief for the second half of the year is to make a playful app. So I hope to be able to welcome you to the Apple Diploma and get out there and make some playful and caring work. Okay, I think now would be a great time to bring in the extraordinarily fantastic Matt Hanlon from the Code Hub IE, who was an Apple certified trainer of trainers and the person that certified me to be an Apple certified trainer. So Matt, welcome. If you could give us a little bit about your background and we'll go from there.
Yeah, sure. So as has been mentioned a couple of times, I worked at Apple for a long time as a software engineer, but I kind of fell into software engineering from an English degree from forever ago. Don't want to even think about how long ago it is now. But yeah, I kind of wanted it. I wanted to work at a company like Apple. I loved using their gear back in the 80s and the 90s. And I was just happy they were still around and would take someone like me who was self-taught at the time. And the thing I love about what I'm doing now, I teach people how to code and how to teach coding. And I love using Swift because it's a relatively new language and it's been designed to be that bit more approachable, so that your end goal isn't, I want to learn how to code. It's, look, the coding is kind of just a side thing that's going to help enable me to build up my ideas. So that's what gets me really going and on things like this. And I'm very excited to talk to all of you today.
Thanks, Matt. That's fantastic. I've got to say, Matt really is my Yoda. He's the person that took me down this path of Apple development, and I'd spent quite a bit of time before that working in a whole bunch of other languages. I was originally trained as a software engineer and computer science scientist, and then went to the Royal College of Art after that and did a master's in interaction design. But I think the thing that really excites me about discovering Swift as a language is, as Matt has mentioned, it's modern, right? It's taken on a lot of the things that have been learned over the last few decades about some of the pitfalls and problems with some of the more legacy kind of platforms that are out there, from C++ to C and other languages like Python or PHP. I think the other thing that is great about some of the Apple provided resources is not just the technologies that they're based on, but the kind of stance of the resources. And the two courses that Matt took me through and the courses that we actually teach using the Apple provided materials are Swift explorations and Swift fundamentals. And I was wondering, Matt, if you could just say a little bit about those two kind of blocks of content that have been provided so generously by Apple.
Yeah, I mean, they're fantastic resources, and they're designed to have a whole course built around them. And I mean, you can't go wrong with either one. I mean, if you're using explorations, you're going to get a lot of experience, as you can see from your curriculum there, in building stuff almost right away, and getting interesting stuff onto your phone and passed around. I work a lot with anybody from middle school students in the States, and I'm here in Ireland now, all the way up to further education folks looking to change careers later in life. And they're exciting projects that you can customize to yourself. QuestionBot is one of my all-time favorites because you always get the person's personality comes out when they write the code. They have to write the brain of a bot that's going to respond to questions. So it's your first sort of foray into AI, except you're the AI. And I love projects like that because they do. You can put your own stamp on it. And it's what makes coding way more interesting for me because it's unleashing that creativity. On the other side, fundamentals is a little bit drier, but you still do get a lot of hands-on practice. I know a few students actually I just talked to recently said they went through fundamentals. They were like, I have no interest in coding at all. I'll kind of do it because my parents keep bugging me about it. And this is 5 years later, and they're like, actually, do you know what? That thing got me hooked on coding because I kind of got the core fundamentals and I got equipped with the right tools to go do these jobs that I had in mind. And now they love it, and that is their kind of medium through which they express themselves. So that's the two. Fundamentals gives you a great base, and it is a little bit more like a kind of traditional-ish computer science course, but explorations just sings. Like it's so great to get stuck in right away.
So I think and I think I should emphasize that these courses that have been provided from Apple, as you said, aren't just about the raw guts of learning the programming language of Swift. There's a whole bunch of other resources that Apple provide, including, I think, possibly my favorite prototyping tool ever, which is the app design tool, the handbook, which is an Apple Keynote file, which actually takes you through the entire process of brainstorming ideas for an app, starting to build that app, testing that app, getting feedback from your users, evaluating that app all the way through and up to app submission. And one of the things that's extraordinary about this is that through this learning process that Matt has taken me down, I've met some Apple developers and engineers and actually people on the inside of Apple as well. And the thing that's really amazing about it, as you could see on some of those prototyping talks, is that Keynote is actually a massively internally used tool at Apple for prototyping new features, which you wouldn't expect, right? You'd be thinking it's some other extraordinary thing, but actually don't underestimate the power of Keynote. I don't know if you can testify to that as well, Matt.
No, everyone loves the guys on the Keynote team. So they get huge props. I mean, that was Steve's baby. When he was giving his presentations, that software always had to be done well and done right. And it's a brilliant tool for prototyping. And that app design workbook is when it first came out, I was actually a little surprised because that's the secret sauce right there.
Yeah.
Every team I worked on at Apple, that's how we decided on features. We picked on features or new products, and we brainstormed just like they explained in the app design workbook. We go through the whole iteration process. With our process, it would kind of go up to your VP, to the next one, then to Steve, and that was kind of where the buck stopped. But that's how products got built at Apple, and it's an amazing thing to have just as a guiding star for you to build when you're building your own projects, because it's all about shipping something. How do I get it in somebody's hands? So,
yeah, I think that's one of the things that's really interesting, and we'll talk to Zac and Sophie about this actually. But it's just also just the empoweringness of being able to make something and have that live on the home screen, right? I think that's a fascinating thing in of itself, because I mean, that was one of the things that first got me really excited. The first time I opened up Xcode and use some of the Apple provided resources, that I could just plug my iPhone in, and suddenly my icon that I just made, it wasn't a very good icon, but it was my icon that I had just made, was suddenly there on the home screen alongside everything else. And let's be frank, that's where a lot of people are spending a lot of their time, is on that home screen.
Yeah, it's a really cool feeling to have that first launch of your app and go, holy cow, actually I can hand this to somebody else and have them tinker with it and give me feedback. It's an amazing feeling to have that first app pop up on your phone or your iPad or your watch or your TV. It's pretty good.
And I think that's another thing to emphasize as well, actually. There's that it's not just about the iPhone. One of the things that I'm excited about in this block of teaching is that we're delving deeper and deeper into Swift UI, which is one of the latest ways of making apps for the iPhone. And one of the things that I've been loving on that with the current crop of students is being able to make an app that I can very quickly get running on my iPad, my iPhone, on Mac OS, but also most intriguingly of all for me is getting something running on the watch as well, and seeing how all of those platforms can kind of be built for together from Xcode. Yeah,
it just opens up so many more possibilities. I mean, you had the shot of the Arduinos in the video earlier. And those are so cool because you've got so many sensors available to you. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I love doing, especially when I'm teaching with iPads and Swift Playgrounds and Swift UI, is kind of making students realize, hey, actually, you've got all these sensors. You've got a gyroscope, an accelerometer, you've got the camera. Like, what can we do with all this stuff? And there's some, you've mentioned it already. There's some amazing resources, all there for free. In Swift Playgrounds, there's a machine learning introduction that you can run through using really easy to use, relatively, of course, this is after you've done a bit of programming, relatively easy to use machine learning stuff, maybe deceptively. I know that everyone can code tagline is a killer because you go, oh, cool, everyone can code, this is going to be easy. And you do have to put in a little bit of work, but oh man, it's so worth it in the end.
I think that's the thing that's key, is that the diploma in Apple development is really about giving you the resources and tools, not just for the year that you'll spend with us in Camberwell, but also going forward, right? So one of the things that I love about teaching on these diploma courses is that students afterwards go back to their original courses. And as I showed earlier on, there's people from a graphic design background, from a furniture design background, from a fashion background, and being able to take that knowledge of the deep in-depth knowledge of what makes an app, that it might be something that, well, maybe you're not going to end up programming all day, but maybe you'll be supervising a team of programmers. And let me tell you, the respect that you're going to get from that team, because you have had that programming experience, is going to make such a difference in how you relate to them.
Well, without a doubt. I mean, it's like if a plumber comes into my house, I know nothing about plumbing, and I'm just like, oh, like the shiny tool. But if you've got a bit of background knowledge, you can say, oh, that's cool. All right, look, I know a little bit about programming. I'm not going to go write it for you, but at least you can have an intelligent conversation with somebody, and the tools that are available to you. Yeah. And you've kind of unlocked this little superpower. You know what's going on under the hood now of your iPhone, your iPad, and all the rest.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Matt, for that process. Stay with us, because I think we're now going to introduce the students that are on the course now as well. Georgina, where are we going next?
Hello. Thanks, Joel. Thanks, Matt, for your presentation and conversation. Super insightful. So yeah, now it's a pleasure for us to welcome Sophie and Zac into the virtual space. They're both the part of the first cohort ever of the UAL Diploma in Apple Development, and they will share with us their experience at the course. Now we've got 15 minutes to go through any questions coming from the audience. We have some other frequently asked questions as well that we're going to be covering, but please feel free to pop a message on the chat and let us know what your doubts or questions are about CCI or the course. Hello, Sophie. Hello, Zac. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi. Hello.
Sophie and Zac, do you maybe just want to say a little bit about your backgrounds? Because I know I said a little bit about that, but maybe if you two say it, it would be a bit more meaningful.
Yeah, sure. So, okay, You go, Zac. Zac, you go. It's okay, you go.
I did 2 years at Chelsea doing product and furniture design. I had a great time there. I love that course. I'm very excited to go back into my 3rd year. But yeah, super nice to take a year out and look at something new, sort of refreshes you. And I'm again excited to take what we've learned from this year and start putting it back into product and furniture design when I head back over to Chelsea. Over to you, Sophie.
So I was originally studying graphic communication design at Central St. Martin's. Taking this course has definitely changed the trajectory of what I want to explore when I go back into my 3rd year. But yeah, that's my background.
Amazing, thank you. Oh, Georgina, look, we're getting very good at interrupting each other, aren't we? This is one of the skills you will learn coming on the Apple Diploma. Georgina, go ahead.
We're all eager to share. That's a good thing to have here. I was just wondering whether we could talk about something that always, like a question that always emerges from prospective students, which is about the work that they will get to produce at the course. So maybe we could hear a little bit about your own projects, stuff that you're developing at the moment at the course, Zac and Sophie. That would be fantastic to hear. Let me just pop the message over here so everyone can see it. That's it. What sort of work will I get to produce at the course?
You go first, Sophie. You go first. You go first.
Okay, so as a part of our product 1, which is one of the modules that we do, I designed and coded a functioning app that allowed students to find nearby deals based on their location. And our module allowed us to learn to use Xcode in order to learn how to code it, but we also made many prototypes before the final presentation. And yeah, it was a great learning experience. We worked in a team. I was in a team of 3, Zac was in a team of 2, and we both worked to create our apps. I do have a video, but I'm not sure if we have time or if I could show the app that we made.
Let's do that. Let's do that another time. I think that I want to get down to the Q&A and I want to learn as much else as we can pass on. But as Sophie is a current student at UAL, if any of you are watching on the stream and you want to get in touch, you can certainly get in touch with me and I can pass on details of Zac and Sophie with their permission for more information. What about you, Zac? What did you make on your product 1 unit?
Yeah, as Sophie mentioned, mine was with just one other person, this girl called Maria. We got on really well, it was super fun. And something we discovered whilst being on the diploma is we felt like we never really engaged with people from other courses. So for our idea, we wanted to create this sort of networking, this fun app that every Wednesday would give you a very simple prompt of 2 emojis and then a 3-hour timer to create something and upload it and share it onto the app. But the whole purpose was creating these connections between students that would have never normally met, because that was something that we were so happy and joyous about being on the Apple Diploma, was this sort of shared knowledge and shared experience of all of us being at UAL, but coming from these different backgrounds and how we could explore that. So yeah, as Sophie said, it was lots of prototyping, lots and lots and lots. But even when we started to develop it, we got really far with the code and we ran some demo sessions with our friends, and it was so much fun being able to like pass over my iPhone and be like, here you go, and actually they like play through the app and it worked, which was like really fun for us to experience.
I think it's just crazy to think, in September before we started the course, I had no experience whatsoever in Swift UI Kit or Swift UI. And now I'm able to go on GitHub and look at design agencies that I'm interested in working with. And I can look at their code and I can understand the majority of what they're doing. And I just think, the progress and how far we've come is insane.
It's really one of the things that I get excited about the most on the diploma, and it's the reason that I've decided that I'm the course leader of it, is because I just get really as Zac and Sophie can attest to, I do get overexcited sometimes about the power of these tools. But I think it's really important, right? Because on a kind of almost on a political level, I think it's really important that we don't just have people from an engineering background making these tools that are so much of our lives. I think it's really important that people from a whole variety of backgrounds, whether it's artistic or design or whatever the backgrounds are, that they're empowered to do this. And I think the thing that's really interesting about it is actually that's the model of Apple itself. And I think it's something that, as Matt could attest to, Steve Jobs was really interested in, right? That it was actually about the intersection of these things. It wasn't just about software engineering. It was about the kind of intersection of these different backgrounds and knowledge.
Oh, without a doubt. He was very keen on making sure you understood who this was for and where it was going to ultimately go, which is different for everything we do. Your app might be targeted at a very specific small community. You might be thinking much larger. But yeah, he was very good at kind of identifying this is what problem we're trying to solve and who we're solving it for.
I think it's really interesting to take on this kind of critical idea as well, which is that we're not just blithely following along, knocking out generic apps. We're also kind of criticizing the situation that we're in, and we're being critical about what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it, and the kind of communities that we're speaking to. And that's another one of the reasons that I was so happy and excited to see the apps that Zac and Sophie and the rest of this incredibly awesome and brave initial cohort. I have to say shout outs to Zac and Sophie and the rest of the initial cohort, because they went in head first into a course that hadn't existed before, and they really are the pioneers of this. And I haven't just bribed them with loads of apples and other things. They really have been, I think, having a good time. What were the things that you were scared about at the beginning of the course, Zac and Sophie? Maybe Zac, you can go first on that one.
I think with everything, I tend to underestimate like my own abilities, and I feel like going in, I was very much like, oh yeah, I'll put a couple things together, but it won't be enough to like actually show anyone. Like it'll sort of sit on my phone and never see the light of day. But within like 2 months of being on the course, I had something that I downloaded and showed my friends. I was like happy to share. And yeah, like coming into this term now, I'm really excited to hopefully have an app that will sit on the App Store, because that's something that like this time in July, August, I didn't even see that as possible. I thought I would just learn a couple of things and that would be it. But no, it's been way more knowledge that I've picked up than I estimated.
Sophie, what were you nervous about before you came into the diploma?
I think initially I had an interest in learning more about coding and combining that with my design work, but I never truly tried it out. And I think through this course, I'm now a lot more confident in my coding skills. And like I said, now I can go back to my design course with a complete new set of skills. And I think in my third year degree, I'll definitely be making a lot of apps and combining that with maybe a product that I design on my course. And now I can actually code something that's functional, which is really crazy to think.
One of the things that really blew my mind about the presentations that both Zac and Sophie and the other two team groups presented back. Well, first of all, I'm not sure if it'll ever see the light of day. Maybe this is one of the reasons you have to come and do the Apple diploma. But Zac managed to green screen himself into an Apple keynote presentation from the year before and synced up his lips exactly with what the great Tim Cook was saying, and it was quite extraordinary. I'm sure that'll go viral within Apple itself. And then the really amazing, so that was a fantastic app which was called Wednesday, and then Sophie's caring app, which was Unibud, was this amazing app which gave you discounts. Now the thing that's really amazing, and Sophie hasn't mentioned because she has great humility, is she actually started making that app in the team, and then they started getting investor interest. And I think the thing that's really amazing about that is is that it demonstrates the hunger for these kind of abilities, not just having the Swift technical knowledge in terms of the programming knowledge, but also from the product side of things. And the thing that I kept saying to Sophie and Zac is that your demographic, your demographic better than anyone else ever will. And so through making the kind of apps that they wanted, they will manage to get this support and excitement and potentially even investor interest. So I want you both to stay on the course for the rest of the year, and I want you to go back to your third years. But it's amazing that this is happening, and I think that's another aspect out of all of this that I think, Matt, you can attest to as well, is these kind of skills are very much sought out in the career world as well.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the more well-rounded you are, the way more in demand you'll be. My favorite colleagues that I always worked with had diverse backgrounds, whether it was, a history degree or God knows what. They maybe didn't even go to university and they just went out and got life experience, happened to teach themselves how to code, and then there they were. They learned the tools kind of themselves and figured out how to apply them. And they always applied them in way more interesting ways than people who were kind of taught through that really rigid system of like, okay, look, we're going to learn about the language for the language's sake.
I think this is one of the things that's exciting as well about being here in London. Apple have recently made a massive commitment in terms of the brand new Battersea headquarters that have just been opened, I believe. And you can look at the number of official Apple stores that are popping up across London, that this is a place that Apple is very much interested in from a recruitment point of view as well. And as I think of now, Apple is the biggest company in the world by shareholder value. And that is quite an extraordinary statement to be able to say. So I think that's both an opportunity and a responsibility that we have to get students from UAL into those areas to be critical, but also to be creative and get some of that UAL magic going inside and outside the Apple campuses across the world. Are there any other questions, Georgina, from the chat, or some other things that commonly come up?
So I would like to cover something that a lot of students are interested in finding out more about, which is the application process. So maybe Zac and Sophie, you could tell us a little bit about your experience just applying to the course. How was it for you? Was it accessible? What did it consist of? How was your experience with it? Sophie, do you want to go
Zac,
for
would
it?
you like to start?
I was just seeing you nodding. I was like, okay, she's ready to answer this one.
Yeah, you go for it. You go for it, Sophie.
Okay. Well, for us, because we were the first, year, it was a very different process. So I originally applied for the Creative Computing Diploma. And then I remember during the summer, I received an email saying there's a new Apple development course. And, like I said, I was always very interested in UX and UI design. And, to see an opportunity to learn more about the back end of app designing, I just took a risk. And, I'd already been accepted to the original diploma. It was a very easy transfer. And all I applied with was through a form. I just wrote, I think I remember writing a 500-word paragraph about why I was interested in this creative computing diploma. And I had a portfolio with a couple of my second year projects. And that's all I needed to do. What about you, Zac?
Yeah, I remember it being super simple. I was actually on holiday in Norway at the time, so my brain was not at uni at all. But I think I saw an advert on the UAL Instagram, and I was like, oh, that sounds fun. Why not? I'll apply, and if I change my mind, I can pull out. But no, as Sophie mentioned, super simple. It was a brief essay, and I was passionate about Apple, so I found it quite easy to write about why I liked them and how I could translate it to my work. And yeah, I don't even think I did a portfolio. I think I just linked to my website. Like I didn't edit anything new. It was a very slick process, and I'm super happy that I took that risk and did it.
Thank you both. Just a note for anyone watching who's interested in applying, we're now accepting applications, and we have 2 different rounds for the applications. The first one is ending on the 24th of March, and the second round of application is until the 28th of May. So if you're considering applying, you can find the link to apply to this online form that Sophie and Zac mentioned. It's a super straightforward process, but if you have any questions, we'll leave our email inbox where you can reach out to us anytime and ask us any questions you might have about it. Cool. And one last question that I would like to throw in this virtual space is the following one. What is the CCI community like? So it'd be great to hear about your experience being part of CCI, coming from another college. How are you feeling being part of this community now, and how it's changed your perspective on your creative practice?
I love it, especially like as I mentioned with the Wednesday, how we did that. The whole purpose was because we met people that we would have never met, and just through like a shared interest of being slightly interested in computer science. I feel like I've made so many friends through that, not just on the Apple development diploma as well, but also on the creative computing diploma. That like at the start we had some machine learning lectures with them, and some friends I've made from that I've continued on, and I'm super excited to see what they make. I'm super excited to see what people on our course make, and I'm also excited to see where that takes us in the future, like completely different disciplines. So our paths are probably going to split in massive different trajectories. I'm really excited by the people that I've met.
For sure. And on top of that, the technical facilities are absolutely amazing. So for example, at the CCI, we have free 3D printing. And the technicians are amazing. Like everyone's so supportive, and it's, everyone's just so open-minded. I think it's a very different environment to what I've been used to at Central St. Martin's. And yeah, everyone's great.
I think as well that because at CCI we use Slack, which is something that I wasn't familiar with, and when we came on, I was like, oh god, another app that I have to learn. But it's so efficient, being able to like message any member of staff like with our queries. I really love that aspect to how CCI operates.
Much better than Teams and Zoom. Just everything's in one. It's so much better.
Love it.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Zac and Sophie, for being here with us and sharing about your experience. We made it to the end of the session. It's 6 p.m. the UK time. So just wanted to take a couple of minutes here to thank everyone in this call, thank everyone watching us. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Zac. Thank you, Sophie, for making the time to be with us here today. That was fantastic hearing from all of you. Wonderful. And without further ado, I would like to mention that tomorrow we're back for another online open session. We'll be holding a taster session this time, where Joel will be going through some example sessions for the diploma using Apple resources to build a color mixing iPhone app. And you'll receive a link to join tomorrow's session as well via email. So keep an eye on your inbox. And if you want to find out more about the application process or about the course, you can visit our website, arts.ac.uk/CCI. And again, if you have any questions about the course, you can email us anytime at cci@arts.ac.uk. We also invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we're going to be uploading lots of beautiful content in the next few weeks. And you can follow us on social media at UAL_CCI on Twitter and Instagram. We look forward to meeting you in real life very soon. And in the meantime, take care, everyone. Thank you so much.